I got your wig, ho. Ha ha. You're mad. Miss Wikiana. Miss Wikiana.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Newman.
Thank you.
I have a point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Kennedy.
Madam Chair, with respect, you allowed the witness to go at length and to change her testimony without her being subject to cross-examination. Are you going to allow us to have a second round of questioning?
No, Senator Kennedy.
What are you trying to cover up here?
There is no cover-up, and Mr. Padilla, Senator Padilla, you'll be allowed the 30 seconds remaining left
I want
in
to
your time.
appeal the ruling of the
Thank
chair.
you. I'd like to hear the
I would like to
responses
appeal.
from the two
Madam
witnesses
Chair, I have
remaining.
a point of order. I'd like to appeal the ruling of the chair. You allowed a
Your
witness.
point of order was offered and responded to,
And I appeal
and
the ruling of the chair and call for a roll call vote.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan.
move.
Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black.
I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people.
You allowed a witness, let me state my case.
Sure.
With respect. You allowed a witness to go on for 4 or 5 minutes, change her testimony, knowing full well that neither Senator Cruz nor I could cross-examine her about her perjury.
Senator Kennedy, would you allow the witnesses
I'm
to finish
still in
responding
the
to my
middle of a
question,
point of
and
order,
then we can
Mr.
act
Madam
on
Chair.
your request?
And I think we
Senator
should
Kennedy.
have a second round.
Senator Kennedy.
And I am appealing the ruling of the chair.
Senator Kennedy, would you allow the witnesses to finish responding to my question, and
And
then we
I
can
am
respond to your
appealing
request?
the ruling of the chair.
Senator Kennedy, I gave you a response to your request of a second round of questioning. I have no intention on allowing a second round of questioning.
And I'm
There
appealing
is-
your ruling.
That is fine. There is no procedure that allows
I
for
would
a
ask for a
roll
roll
call.
call
There
vote.
is no procedure for it that allows for a roll call vote in this committee. This is a hearing. I have the gavel. I have responded
this is a
to your
cover-up, Madam Chair.
request.
This is an
and I am
embarrassing
going to
cover-up.
return
I will
to
say I've
Senator
never seen
Kennedy's.
a chair try so hard to protect a witness and avoid answering why she just lied on the stand with her own words, her own opinion.
Thank you so much for your request. It has been heard, responded to. Senator Padilla,
There will be no cross-examination.
If I would like-
The witness shall be
But I
allowed
want
to
to be
lie,
sure I
and no one will
understand
ask
your
her.
ruling. I think I have the floor.
You have you asked for, was there going to be another round of questions?
Point of order. Your
The answer
ruling
is no.
that we can't have a second round, that the chair can allow a witness, after we're finished with cross-examination, go on at length, change her testimony, potentially perjure herself. We're not allowed to cross-examine in a second round of questioning, which we do all the time.
The answer is
And
no,
you tell
Senator
me
Kennedy.
I can't, and you now ask for a roll call vote to appeal your ruling.
Madam
and you
Chair.
say I can't do that.
No, you cannot.
That's
Madam Chair,
ridiculous.
point of
Thank
personal
you.
privilege, please. Madam Chair, point of order.
Senator Hirona.
You know, we have been witness to literally witness badgering, and now badgering of the chair. She has issued her ruling. There is no appeal. Some of us would like to get on with this hearing.
I'm sure you
and
would.
To have to sit here and listen to all of you go off time and time and time again, and I just want to commend this witness, this nominee, for her comportment, because what her comportment says to me is that she is going to be a damn good judge. Can we get on with it, Madam Chair?
So does every Democrat senator want to cover up the facts here? Is any Democrat
So can we
senator interested
return
in the direct
to
contradiction
Senator,
from
we'll
the
be
witness?
returning to Senator
Apparently, it's
Padilla's
the entire
questioning, or
Democrat
we will
senators that want to
adjourn
cover these up.
today's
You
hearing.
want to adjourn? Go ahead. You can do that.
Go ahead.
Senator Padilla, I
We
want
might
to
as
give you
well.
your 30
You
seconds.
might as
Way you're
well,
gonna run this
because the
Padilla, I
questions
wanna
are
give
going
you
to
your
be,
30
are you
seconds.
more
If you
handsome or
wish, you can
beautiful
yield
or
your
brilliant?
time and we can
And
gavel
let's
or we
avoid
can
the
gavel
facts.
out.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
You talk about extreme.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted?
She hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war.
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. So I think you've heard tonight 2 very different visions for our country.
What you're proposing, or what the president is proposing here, does not sound like it's in keeping with American tradition when it comes to immigration. The Statue of Liberty says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free." Doesn't say anything about speaking English or being able to be a computer programmer. Aren't you trying to change what it means to be an immigrant coming into this country? If you're telling them you have to speak English, can't people learn how to speak English when they get here?
Well, first of all, right now, it's a requirement that to be naturalized, you have to speak English. So the notion that speaking English wouldn't be a part of our immigration systems would be actually very ahistorical. Secondly, I don't want to get off into a whole thing about history here, but the Statue of Liberty is a symbol of liberty enlightening the world. It's a symbol of American liberty lighting the world. The poem that you're referring to that was added later is not actually part of the original Statue of Liberty, but more fundamentally, the history, but more fundamentally,
you're saying
the
that
history.
That does not represent.
I'm saying that.
what
I'm
the
saying that
country
the
has always
notion.
thought of
I'm
as
saying the notion that the.
immigration coming into this
I'm saying the
country?
notion.
Stephen, I'm sorry.
No,
that sounds like,
here,
that sounds
Jim,
like,
let me ask you a question.
That sounds like some national park revisionism.
No,
The
what I'm
Statue-
asking you
the
is-
Statue of Liberty
Jim,
has always
Jim,
been
let me ask you a
beacon
question.
of hope to the world,
Jim,
for people to send
Jim, do you
their
believe-
people to this country,
Jim,
and they're not always going to speak
Jim,
English, Stephen.
Jim,
they're not
do you
always
believe-
going to be highly skilled. They're not always
Jim,
going to be
Jim,
somebody
Jim,
who
I
can
appreciate your
sit down
speech.
with.
Jim, I appreciate your speech. So let's talk about this.
It was a modest
Jim, let's talk about this. In 1970, when we let in 300,000 people a year, was that violating or not violating the Statue of Liberty law of the land? In the 1990s, when it was 500,000 a year, was it violating or not violating the Statue of Liberty law of the land?
Was it violating?
When it was 700,000 a year. No, tell me what years. Tell me what years. Tell me what years meet. Tell me what years meet Jim Acosta's definition of the Statue of Liberty poem law of the land. So you're saying 1 million a year is the Statue of Liberty number. 900,000 violates it. 800,000 violates it.
You're sort of bringing a
Jim.
press one for English philosophy here to
Jim.
immigration, and that's never
For
been
Jim.
what the United States has been about, Steve.
That but you're also your statement's also shockingly ahistorical in another respect too, which is if you look at the history of immigration, it's actually ebbed and flowed. We've had periods of very large waves, followed by periods of less immigration and more immigration, and during we've had
a period of immigration right now. The
Yeah,
president
it's-
wants to build
it's
a wall.
actually-
and you want
it's
to
actually-
bring about a sweeping change to the
surely,
immigration
Jim, you
system.
don't actually think that a wall affects green card policy. You couldn't possibly believe that, do you?
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about
just a-
AG.
I
don't think you
point
know
of
what
order.
you're here
President.
for.
Well, you the one talking about. I guess
I
you
think
still
your
stuck in
fake
the courtroom.
eyelashes are messing up
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
your
please
history.
regain
Beneath
order
even
of your
you.
committee?
Order.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words.
That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack
meeting will
the
suspend,
physical
meeting will
appearance of another
suspend.
person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl?
We're gonna,
I don't think
We are going to
so.
move, and we're going to take your words down.
Actually, the notion that you actually think immigration is a historic law, the foreign-born population in the United States today, Jim,
Staff on Monday talking about how border crossings.
do you really, I want to be serious, Jim, do you really at CNN not know the difference between green card policy and illegal immigration?
Sir,
Are you really don't know that?
Cuban immigrant. He came to this country in 1962, right before the Cuban Missile Crisis, and obtained a green card. Yes, people who immigrate
Okay,
to this country
Jim,
can eventually. People who
so Jim,
immigrate
it's
to
a
this
factual
country
question,
through,
Jim.
not through Ellis
Jim,
Island,
as a
your
factual,
family
Jim,
may
as a
have,
factual
but in
question.
other ways, do obtain a green card at some point. They do it through a lot of hard work. And yes, they may learn English as a second language later on in life.
So, but
this
Jim,
this whole notion of, well, they could learn, they have to learn English before they get to the United States. Are we just going to bring in people from Great Britain and Australia?
Jim, actually, I have to honestly say, I am shocked at your statement that you think that only people from Great Britain and Australia would know English. It reveals your cosmopolitan bias to a shocking degree that in your mind, no, this is an amazing moment. This is an amazing moment that you think only people from Great Britain or Australia would speak English is so insulting to millions of hardworking immigrants who do speak English from all over the world. Jim, have you honestly never met an immigrant from another country who speaks English outside of Great Britain and Australia? Is that your personal experience?
Of course, there are people who come.
But that's not what you said, and it shows your cosmopolitan bias. And I just want to say,
it sounds like you're trying to engineer the racial and ethnic flow of people into this country.
Jim, that is one of the most outrageous, insulting, ignorant, and foolish things you've ever said. And for you, that's still a really the notion that you think that this is a racist bill is so wrong and so insulting. Jim, the reality is that the foreign-born population into our country has quadrupled since 1970. That's a fact. It's been mostly driven by green card policy. Now, this bill allows for immediate nuclear family members to come into the country, much as they would today, and then it adds an additional points-based system. The people who've been hurt the most, the people who've been hurt the most by the policy you're advocating are apparently just unfettered, uncontrolled migration. The people who've been hurt the most by the policy. The people who've been hurt the most by the policy that you're. The people who've been hurt the most by the policy you're advocating are immigrant workers and minority workers and African American workers and Hispanic workers.
Now, let's talk about Mr. O'Brien himself, his behavior. As everybody knows, and it's here in the last time, him and I kind of had a back and forth. Appreciate your demeanor today. It's quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said, greedy CEO who pretends like he's self-made. Sir, I wish you was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
No,
guy.
stop it.
Is that your solution every problem?
No, sit down.
Oh, you're a clown.
Sit down.
Look at you.
You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr. Chairman?
Hold it.
What Donald Trump did was use eminent domain to try to take the property of an elderly woman on the Strip in Atlantic City. That is not public purpose. That is downright wrong. And here's the problem with that.
All right, okay.
The problem was it was to tear down. It was to
Jeb
tear
wants
down.
to be. He wants to be a tough guy. He wants to be a tough guy
It was
tonight.
to tear down
I didn't
the
take
house,
the property.
and the net result
didn't.
was you tried.
I didn't
and
take
you
the
lost
property.
in the court.
The woman ultimately didn't want to do that. I
That
walked
is not
away,
true.
And
the
it was
simple
great that
fact
I
is,
didn't.
to turn this into a limousine parking lot for his casinos is not a public use. And in Florida, based on what we did, we made that impossible. It is part of our Constitution. That's the better approach. That is the conservative approach.
Mr. Trump, take 30 seconds.
Let me just, he wants to be a tough guy. A lot of times, you'll have, and it doesn't work very well with
How
them.
tough is it
a
to
lot
take
of
away
times,
property from
let
an
me
elderly
talk,
woman?
Let me talk. Quiet.
How tough
a lot
is
of
it?
times, that's all of his donors and special interests out there.
If
Hold
we
on.
can't, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing. And God knows the American people have enough of contempt for Congress. Let's not
I don't
make
like
it worse.
thugs and bullies.
You have,
And that's
you
what-
have
I don't
the
like
mic.
you, because you
Hold
just
it.
described yourself.
Hold it. You have the mic.
Yeah.
You have time.
All right.
Make your statement.
Then let's do this, because I did challenge you, and I accepted your challenge, and you went quiet.
No, I didn't go quiet.
Hold on.
No,
You challenged me to a cage match,
No,
acting like a
sir.
12-year-old schoolyard
Hold it.
bully.
Excuse me.
Hold on.
Hold it. No, excuse me. I have the
I
mic.
will say exactly.
Senator
what you
Mullen,
said.
I have the mic. You have questions on any economic issues, anything that said, go for it. We're not here to talk about physical abuse.
You brought.
We're not
him
talking
in.
about, of course I
And,
did.
and let me
He's-
let me show you his hearing, because I want to expose this thug to who he is. And
Could you not point to me? That's disrespectful.
All right.
I don't care about respecting you at all. I
don't
respect people that
respect you at all.
respect. So
All right, hold it.
let me
Hold it. No.
You're one of
Yeah,
100 of the most
hold
elite
it,
people.
please.
Act it.
Please. All right. This is excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hearing to discuss economic issues. All right. If you have questions for Mr. O'Brien or anybody else on what he has said, go for it.
I mean-
But we're not here to talk about fights or anything else.
I'm quoting exactly what he said.
You can
and
say
this
what
is-
you want,
This is
but-
your witness
This
you
is
brought.
my
And let me.
witness.
I'm exposing him.
You can
as a
talk
person
anything
who
you want.
he is. So
but
in
no fight-
2013,
Nope.
in 2013, O'Brien was suspended by the Teamsters for intimidating your own members. In 2014, you were part of, what would you say, organizing the harassment, intimidation of the Top Shelf crew.
Chef, not chef.
Top Chef. Okay, and then, and I think in the reports they said sexual, racist, and homophobic slurs and death threats. 14 tires were sliced, and 5 Teamsters were arrested. And you said, "Well, I had nothing to do with it." But however, in that same statement, you said, "But if I get called to testify, I'll plead the Fifth." This is a witness you brought in here. In 2017, you were removed as lead negotiator by then President Hoffa for UPS for your actions. And then in 22, when this guy was elected, what he said after he got elected was he wanted to bring the mob mentality back to the Teamsters. This is your guy.
And you're obviously going to give him a chance to respond to your questions.
Absolutely, because this is my question.
So that's what it is. That's what. And by the way, let me just tell you, we needed tickets. You can't get them. You know who has the tickets for the? I'm talking about to the television audience, donors, special interest, the people that are putting up the money. So it is. The RNC told us we have all donors in the audience, and the reason they're not loving me, the reason they're not loving me is I don't want their money. I'm going to do the right thing for the American public. I don't want their money. I don't need their money. And I'm the only one up here that can say that. Eminent domain, the Keystone Pipeline, do you consider that a private job?
I consider it a public use.
No, let me ask you, Jeb. Do you consider the Keystone Pipeline private? Is it public or private?
It's a public use.
Oh, really? A public use? No,
Yeah.
it's a private job.
It's a public use.
It's a private
Established
job.
by the courts, federal, state
You
courts.
wouldn't have the Keystone Pipeline that you want so badly without eminent domain.
All right, exactly.
You
I
wouldn't
agree.
have massive, excuse me, Josh, you wouldn't have massive factories without eminent domain.
Because you called me out. I didn't call you out.
Yeah, you did.
You said anytime, any place.
That's
what you said.
that. Let's get the record
Okay.
straight.
Miss, hold it. No.
Hold on.
Senator Mullen, do you have a question for the witness?
Yeah. I
Okay,
think that's what I'm
let's
getting
hear
at.
it.
So, anytime, any place.
No, that's
April is a charity event.
No, that's not,
No, it's a, he,
No, but-
sir, he said it, and this is my
He is
time,
here to
and you
tell-
didn't set
no.
parameters on what the questions can or cannot be asked, and I'll ask.
No,
you
you're not
questions.
we're not going to be talking about
Yes, we
physical
can.
confrontation.
Oh, this is about charity, for a union charity, because this
This
is for firefighters and.
Do you have a question on his testimony?
April.
Grow up.
April
Will you
next
please
year.
You have
grow
a
up. You're an
question on
embarrassment.
his, let's not be.
You said it.
You're an
You
embarrassment.
said
You're
it,
an
and I'm just
embarrassment.
simply answering it.
You
Senator
reached
Mullen,
out
go
to
hold it,
everybody.
hold it.
I-
Senator Mullen, you made some charges.
Charges?
Mr. O'Brien, do you want to respond to
Yeah,
the
go ahead,
question?
please.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality of it is, you
Accept
know,
my challenge,
Mr.
tough guy.
Mullen, tough guy.
Answer, hold it. Answer the questions.
All right, y'all won. He
Please.
made a lot of statements, right? And his statements are fiction at best.
Fiction, I read them.
Can he answer?
What?
Answer the question, please.
I can't understand him, to be honest with you.
All right.
He rambles so much. What was your question, actually?
Well, you said I made a lot of statements.
No, but what's your question? I don't understand your question. Could you repeat it?
You said anytime, any place.
What's your question?
Accept the challenge.
What challenge?
You said anytime, any place. I'm accepting yours, so why don't you come
What
back?
challenge? What challenge are you talking
April
about?
30th. How about we do it for a charity at the Smoking Guns in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
No, we're not going to be
what was the
talking about
challenge?
physical
What are you talking about?
confrontations here.
You want to fight me?
What'd you say about anytime, any place?
Let's have coffee, discuss our differences.
Oh, that's what you said.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
All right, well, let's sit down and have coffee.
Let's
I'd
do
love
it.
to.
All right. I'd love to.
But
do it.
It's funny how you're backing out.
Okay.
I don't back on anything.
You did.
You're the one. You're a 100.
Senator-
Should be the most influential people in this country making changes.
Senator
You're
Hassan-
focused on.
Okay.
Why-
You're
Thank
focused
you.
on
Why did
debate
you-
that's not
Why-
even relevant.
Keep texting
You're an
me and they
embarrassment.
went
Senator-
silent.
You're an
Excuse me.
embarrassment.
They
Well,
went
That's what you
silence
are.
after
You're an embarrassment to the
text.
state of
This
Oklahoma.
hearing is about the condition of the working class in America.
You
That's
brought
what
a
we're
thug
talking.
into this.
You're the biggest thug here.
You brought him in.
All right,
You're the biggest thug. Even your
I don't know
colleagues call you
why
a
you do
joke.
what you're doing, Senator Hassan.
Now, some of you are new to this committee and new to the Senate, so you may not know that I am the proud mother of a 36-year-old young man with severe cerebral palsy. And a day does not go by when I don't think about what did I do when I was pregnant with him that might have caused the hydrocephalus that has so impacted his life. So please do not suggest that anybody in this body of either political party doesn't want to know what the cause of autism is. Do you know how many friends I have with children who have autism? The problem with this witness's response on the autism cause and the relationship to vaccines is because he's relitigating and churning settled science so we can't go forward and find out what the cause of autism is and treat these kids and help these families. Mr. Kennedy, that first autism study rocked my world. And like every mother, I worried about whether, in fact, the vaccine had done something to my son. And you know what? It was a tiny study of about 12 kids. And over time, the scientific community studied and studied and studied and found that it was wrong. And the journal retracted the study because sometimes science is wrong. We make progress. We build on the work and we become more successful. And when you continue to sow doubt about settled science, it makes it impossible for us to move forward. So that's what the problem is here. It's the relitigating and rehashing and continuing to sow doubt so we can't move forward. And it freezes us in place.
There have been, as I understand it, dozens of studies done all over the world that make it very clear that vaccines do not cause autism. Now, you just said, if I heard correctly, well, if the evidence is there. The evidence is there. That's it. Vaccines do not cause autism. Do you agree with that?
As I said, I'm not going to go into HHS with any preordained.
I asked you a simple question, Bobby. The studies all over the world say it does not. What do you think?
Senator, if you show me those studies, I will absolutely, as I promised to Chairman Cassidy, I will apologize.
That is a very troubling response because the studies are there. Your job was to have looked at those studies as an applicant for this job.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second...
So cute. Such a cute soundbite. But here's the guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have.
Here's
This
the guy
president?
that inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
I have to say,
Senator
he lied
Cruz.
this time. He lied. 100%. 100%.
You lied about the Polish workers.
Yeah.
You lied to the
38
students of Trump
years ago.
University.
38 years ago.
Oh, he lied 38 years ago. All right, I guess there's a statute of limitation on lies.
Did you say that COVID-19 was a genetically engineered bioweapon that targets black and white people but spared Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people?
I didn't say it was deliberately targeted. I just quoted an NIH-funded and NIH published study.
Did you say that it targets black and white people but spared Ashkenazi Jews?
I quoted a study, Your
Okay.
Honor. I quoted
So
an NIH study that showed that
I'll take that as a
certain
yes.
races
I have
are
to move on,
disproportionately.
I have to move on. Did you say that Lyme disease is highly likely a materially engineered bioweapon? I made sure I put in the highly likely. Did you say Lyme disease is a highly likely militarily engineered bioweapon?
I probably did say that.
Did you say that?
And that's what the developer of
I
Lyme
want all
disease
of our
said.
colleagues to hear it, Mr. Kennedy. I want them to hear it. You said yes. Did you say that exposure to pesticides causes children to become transgender?
No, I never said that.
Okay, I have the record that I'll give to the chairman, and he can make his judgment about what you said. Did you write in your book, and it's undeniable, that African AIDS is an entirely different disease from Western AIDS? Yes or no, Mr. Kennedy?
I'm not sure if I made that.
Okay, I'll give it to the chairman, Mr. Kennedy. And my final question, did you say on a podcast, and I quote, "I wouldn't leave abortion, to the states. My belief is we should leave it to the woman. We shouldn't have the government involved, even if it's full term." Did you say that, Mr. Kennedy?
Senator, I believe that every abortion is a tragedy.
Did you say it, Mr. Kennedy? This
believe-
matters. It doesn't matter what you come here and say that isn't true, that's not reflective of what you really believe, that you haven't said over decade after decade after decade, because unlike other jobs we're confirming around this place, this is a job where it is life and death for the kids that I used to work for in the Denver public schools and for families all over this country that are suffering from living in the richest country of the world that can't deliver basic health care and basic mental health care to them. It's too important for the games that you're playing, Mr. Kennedy. And I hope my colleagues will say to the president, I have no influence over him. I hope my colleagues will say to the president, out of 330 million Americans, we can do better than this.
Thank you. We need to move on.
You'll have magically saved the climate and the planet. This madness needs to stop.
Thank you, Senator. And we're going to go with our second round. Let me just say this to Senator Hawley. I'm sorry if you believe I've been differential. But on that, I know our busy schedules you have and other different committees. Everything that you are saying, we feel the same. And it's been bipartisan on both sides. I'm going to go to Senator Murkowski first for her second round, then come right back to you.
That's fine, Mr. Chairman. I just say this, though. Don't characterize my questions as demagoguery when I'm trying to get answers.
Sir,
we've had people in front of here up at this committee.
We've been through this because everybody basically has asked the same questions you were on that.
Senator, you don't get to control what questions I ask or don't ask.
No,
and
no,
quite
no, I'm
frankly,
just
I
saying
think
the
what
way
you're
we
doing
ask
is
it.
abusive.
We've been
and I'm going to
talking.
call you out on it. Okay?
Oh, I'm going to call you out many times, too.
Well, that's fine.
There's not a problem, but I'm in chairman right now, and you're out of order. Senator Murkowski.
My understanding is that the executive order that was issued today, which I haven't seen, but I've read a summary
Well, let
of.
me ask you this then, because you keep citing the Trump administration and you're just going to follow what they say. Is that what you're doing? You're just a rubber stamp for them in this position? So anybody,
Trump.
so it doesn't matter that you're before us. It could be anybody coming before us as long as they're a rubber stamp for this administration and disregarding your beliefs and what you think. I guess my question to you is, if it really is fundamental to what you believe, how do you live with that? How do you address those issues as you're moving forward,
You want me to
knowing
answer
that
the
it's going to
question,
harm
Senator?
Americans? Yeah.
You want me to answer the question?
No, I'm asking you.
Okay. President Trump has asked me to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. And I'm
So
in a
is that the
unique
only reason
position.
why you're at HHS? Is that the
Excuse
only
me.
reason why then you're at the HHS, to address that one issue?
President Trump has asked me because I'm in a unique position to end that. And that is what I'm doing. And if we don't solve that problem, Senator, all of the other disputes we have about who's paying, and whether it's insurance companies, whether it's providers, whether it's HMOs, whether it's patients or families, all of those are moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. Our ship is sinking. Our 60% increase in Medicaid over the past 4 years is the biggest budget line now, and it's growing faster than any other. And no other nation in the world has what we have here. No other nation has a chronic disease. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. We had, during COVID, we had 16% of the COVID deaths in a country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. We had a higher death count than any country in the world. And when CDC was asked why, they said it's because Americans are the sickest people on earth. The average person who died from COVID, American, had 3.8 chronic diseases. This is an existential threat economically, to our military, to our health, to our sense of well-being. And it is a priority for President Trump. And that's why he asked me to run the agency. And if I'm privileged to be confirmed, that's exactly what I'll do.
Ew. Like JK, but like maybe not. But thank you for watching. But you hating ass bitches always have something to say. Hating ass bitch, but you're still watching my vids. What? 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 You're so upset. But that's like okay, because have a piece of bread, have a Xanax, relax, because I said what I said.